Oh, man. So, yeah. That is Hobo with a shotgun.
It's batshit crazy.
I knew it. I knew you'd like it. It is one of the most schizophrenic, like, movies I've seen in so long.
It's like, it doesn't have, like, the only consistency it has is the fact that it's batshit crazy because there's lots of like inconsistencies going on all the time. It's like sometimes it can't decide what it wants to be, but then other times it's like it's gonna do this, it's gonna be crazy. That's what I'm gonna be.
It's gonna do this shit. Then we're gonna do this shit, and then we're gonna be nice for a while, and then we're just gonna be fucking. Let's have. I think the topless like mutilated piñata shit still wasn't the top.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, that is Hobo with a shotgun, and I think we have a lot to talk about.
Yeah. Stop it there.
Yeah.
Boys? Stop watching that trash!
One man's trash is another man's torture. Starring Johann Chipol as the inflictor of pain and Edward Harvey as the victim. From Studio Enigmatic comes the Trash Tapes.
Hello and welcome to the second episode of the Trash Tapes, where one man's trash is another man's torture, and this torture is usually done by my victim, Edward Harvey, in this case.
Hello.
And I am your host and consideredly the inflictor of pain, Johann Chipol.
The inflictor of pain.
Flippin' love that. I'm so glad that you did. When I heard the opening for the first time when you did that, I thought that was so good.
For some reason, I've got this knack of being able to do the trailer guy voice, and like my girlfriend Sophie is like, "Why can you do that voice? It's so weird that you can do. It's like an out of body experience."
Because it doesn't sound like you at all. It sounds like someone else completely. It's so awesome.
Yeah, I just discovered one day I could do the one man voice just really well. And obviously when you record it well and you're really close to the microphone, if you can do that tone, it's going to sound even better, like on the mic, you know.
It sounds so perfect, and it's ideal for this kind of show. So yeah, as people who've maybe tuned in for the very first time, welcome. This show is where I, Johann Chipol, basically go through piles upon piles of trashy movies and inflict them onto my friend over here, who I literally go over to his house, get some snacks, and just barrage him with whatever I find that week.
Yeah. And I haven't seen this. I mean, there's some trashy movies I've seen, but there's a lot I haven't, and Johann has just seen them all.
I've seen a lot of them. There's still some I haven't, but I'm discovering new ones every single day. The moment I've started this podcast, I'm now finding new ones I haven't heard of before. And some of these are like, wow. And just the research on this is actually becoming more enticing every single day. I want to find the weirdest stuff. So I'm actually hoping that maybe if this all kicks off, that maybe some of the fans out there can start suggesting a couple of these. Because
definitely.
I feel like we could be doing this for centuries, and I doubt we'll still cover every single rubbish, trashy movie. Like,
yeah, because you've wrote out a list, haven't you, of like possible episodes, and it's so long already, isn't it? Like
every time I find a new one and add it on, at the minute we're about 120. Like, my God, we could be here for.
We're never going to be scratching our heads saying, "Oh, well, what shall we watch?"
I'll just go through the list, and it's like a cartoon list. It feels like you drop it and it just tumbles all the way down to the other side of the room.
Yeah.
Okay. So, as a second episode, I did kind of tease at the end of the first one after we did Troll 2, which was a corker to start off with. That I was going to we're going to go something gory next.
Yeah.
And so, the one I decided to go is the one which I think is the most batshit crazy of all the gory films I think out there in a while, and that is Hobo with a Shotgun.
Yes.
Maybe you may not like me. shotgun.
As per usual now, we're gonna let's talk a little bit about Hobo with a Shotgun in terms of what it is and how it got started. Because there's a good, interesting backstory. A good thing about loads of trashy movies and the production of these kind of movies is that there's always an interesting backstory behind it. So I'll go for a few of them. Hobo with a Shotgun is a movie done in 2011. It is a Canadian movie, which you think like, what the heck? And it's directed by Jason Eisner. Before then, he didn't really direct a lot of movies. He basically was doing short films and stuff like that until he won a competition. Now, the competition is the Grindhouse competition. Do you know when Grindhouse came out and it had all the fake trailers? There was a competition in South by Southwest where it said like, we want you to make a trailer for it. And that trailer was Hobo with a Shotgun.
Yeah.
And that won, which means that in certain places in Canada and a few other theaters, that trailer was played in between all the other trailers. And that got so popular that they loved it. They absolutely loved it. They adored it to the point of saying like, let's make it. So basically, it was through a competition that got this movie to be made, which is flipping great. You know, the original trailer did not have our star because I don't think they could afford him at the time. Although we don't know because I have to look into how much he's got into it. It was starring originally who played the Hobo. Do you know the crazy ass cop? The one who's like say like, "We're all bad cops here." Yeah. That was the Hobo originally.
Right.
And then just
in the trailer,
the fake trailer, and then they just built it up, and suddenly now our trailer's is Rutger Hauer.
Yeah, because you got to when you do a feature and you want to get any kind of return on it, you got to have someone known, haven't you, as the lead? Like,
someone, yeah. I'd be honest. Before this, everyone knows anyone who's a big fan of like films know Rutger Hauer is famous mostly for Blade Runner. And he's done bits in between. He's done other things, but that's like his key moment.
One of my favorites is The Hitcher. I love The Hitcher.
Yeah. Oh, The Hitcher's pretty good. Yeah, I remember The Hitcher. Yeah. But you notice how from that point you're like, now he's back in this movie, not looking at all like him at all. You're sitting there going, what happened? Oh my God, there he is. That is Rutger Hauer. My God.
What has he done? What has he done since?
This is the thing. I'll probably look it up later, but I don't know how much he's done. But you know, this is being like that's the guy from Blade Runner to now a homeless guy with a shotgun.
Yeah, it's like, oh shit, I may as well just retire now. I don't want to do any more damage.
I'm done. Maybe this is partly a documentary. They just found him like this. So, you know, can we make a movie about it? Yeah, sure.
Rutger Hauer's such a pro, though. He would embrace anything. If this is his role, he's gonna do it like the best of his ability, and he's just gonna nail it, you know.
And he's nailing it right now. My God, Look at all his faces. The man, he looks like a man who's seen shit.
Yeah.
Oh man. Like we have not heard a peep from him, and he doesn't look a thing like the sexy android that we know and love.
Yeah, because the thing is, like his character in Blade Runner, he's so like charismatic that you kind of root for him, and you understand him, and it's a confusing movie in that respect because it's like you are really empathizing with the villain, aren't you? I don't want to talk too much about Blade Runner, but it has got the connection because of the same actor.
Because he's so obviously there.
Yeah. But no, I love his character more than Harrison Ford's character in that movie.
Because he actually he's one of those kind of, it's so well written, and almost to the point you're sitting there going like, do you know when the bad guy, like in most movies or even anything, you know when the bad guy's talking and you're saying like, you're almost like, he makes perfect sense. I get what he's doing. I get his motivation, you know what I mean? Yeah. And he was one of them. And then you get that in your head, and this is kind of a thing for anyone who's a big fan of like any of his Rutger Hauer's work. And then you see this, shed anything you know about him at all.
The thing is, though, because of the time it came out, like all these millennial kids that might have not seen Blade Runner, just imagine if they saw this before all the quality stuff that he's done. And they'd be like, well, it'd be so weird for him. It's like one of my mates saw, in the back in the day, one of my mates saw Lethal Weapon, which one's the one with Joe Pesci? 3?
3, yeah.
He saw the Weapon 3 before, like, Goodfellas or something like that. So it's like, he remember... No, and that, and also, like, Home Alone. He'd saw before, you saw Joe Pesci in his original kind of, like, form, where he'd be, like, a bad, like, terrifying gangster. And, like, just imagine seeing it the way around. So you see, like, Rutger Hauer in this movie before you see Blade Runner, Hitcher... And it's like, you'd think that's your opinion then, set in stone, of Rutger Hauer.
And then you go back and like, oh, he's just the homeless guy. And they're like, no, he's so not the homeless guy. Oh my God. That's basically what I love about this, is like he's basically the central force of this movie. And he's so good in this, but he's good in a way that you never even thought he could do.
No.
Like, this is not like top ace acting. What he does do is embrace this complete batshitness 100%.
Yeah.
You can kind of see at times, it's like a combination of both. I'm not sure if you thought the same way, but half of this I felt like he's very into it, and he's enjoying the hell out of it. But then sometimes he looks very tired.
Yeah.
And surprised that he's doing this.
But what's so, like, amazing is the fact that he plays the role so straight. Like, he's not at any point, like, hamming it up. He's like, he plays it really straight, doesn't he?
Yeah. And I think that what adds to the comedy, the dark comedy to this, basically, that every time he says something, he's not doing it tongue-in-cheek, he's not looking to the camera, he's not doing that. He's saying it like it's almost Shakespeare.
Yeah.
And it is awesome.
You vultures circle this city, tearing off the flesh from everything that is innocent. Please don't shoot me. I didn't even hurt her. I want you out of the city. You and your grave-robbing friends. Spread the word.
The best way to describe the plot of this movie is actually looking at the back of the DVD.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to read this out, because it's probably the best way I can describe this.
Should also mention the cover art is gorgeous. Really good.
Look at the poster for this.
Yeah.
It looks like literally like an old 1980s sort of stained poster has been left in the back of like a theatre for years. It's properly a grindhouse thing. They've embraced the grindhouseness of this 100%. When an aging hobo, played by Hauer, jumps onto a freight train in a new city hoping for a fresh start, he soon realizes he has well and truly reached the end of the line. He finds himself trapped in an urban hell, an archaic world overrun by murderers, rapists, petty crooks, and corrupt cops. Now it's up to him to clean up the streets the only way he knows how, with a 20-gauge shotgun in his hand and 2 rounds in the chamber. With the city's evil crime boss standing in his way, will the hobo's own brand of justice prevail?
That's the thing. He had a far amount of ammunition, not just 2 shells. He had like $50, right, to pay for this shotgun. How did he pay for all the ammunition?
I don't know where he's getting all the ammo. I don't know how the fuck he's getting all the ammo. I think the moment we start going there, it's like, what the fuck? I think maybe that shotgun's like Lara Croft's like infinite pistols.
Yeah.
It's just, I've got all the ammo, baby. Right, we have to go back to the roots then. So, he comes in at the very beginning. He comes in on the freight train at the very beginning of the movie, and your reaction to it the first time around was amazing, because it literally was like, oh my God, this is so colorful. That's the first thing you're going to notice when you watch this movie. It is very colorful. Yeah. And I'm not talking like, ooh, it's more like there's whole rooms that are blue. There's whole rooms that are yellow. There are whole rooms that are pink and red, and like whoever like the design of the of the film and the lighting must have had a whale of a time saying, I want everything to be neon. I want everything to be fluorescent and to glow.
Yeah.
It is very fucking pretty.
The colour grade is so bright.
I knew that would be the first thing you'd notice. It is the most ridiculous. You'll figure out the rest of the movie. It is the most overly saturated film I have ever seen. I mean, that red is like the most red car I've ever seen.
Do you think it is actually technical, or it's just made to look like it?
I think it. Well, that is as bright as you can get. So, God, that was nasty. Do you remember when we talked about how saturated this movie is? Half the corner of a road is green. Look at that. It's
So much smoke.
like this clearly has a ventilation problem, whatever this place is. But my God.
Well, what I love about the movie is it doesn't exactly ease you in, does it? Like the first scene is probably one of those memorable scenes in the movie because, like, I just love the way it opens with the whole sort of this crazy thing is happening, and this they're after this like guy that's done something to them. I don't know whatever, but you introduced to these like gangsters.
Yeah.
Which the main one is like. Look in a Scarface suit. There's lots of cliches going on.
Totally.
And then you've got this victim that's just caught up in this like manhole cover.
The manhole. Okay, we have to start all this quickly. The manhole death is the most unique thing I think I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So this guy, you first see this guy who happened to end up being the bad guys. Whose name is Drake, who looks, Scarface kind of guy. And we're not talking like Al Pacino Scarface here. We're talking 1950s kind of proper mobster kind of thing. And so he basically got this manhole around his head, this guy who happened to end up being his brother. So if that's what he does to family members, fuck. And so they come in and he does this thing with the manhole where he's got a manhole around his head. They throw him into a manhole cover, and then just decapitate him, right there and then. And that is literally in the first 10 minutes. So this, like I said, this movie doesn't ease you in at all. It's not like a first date. No. This is more like a really rough and ready one-night stand.
But it sets its tone so quickly because it's like not only does a creative decapitation happen with like barbed wire around a head. Man trapped in a manhole cover. It's like the woman that's with them just ends up like dancing in like sort of a bikini in the blood that's shooting out of the decapitated like hole.
It literally is like randomly this woman just walks out of fucking nowhere and just goes like, hey, blood, starts dancing in it, like swimming in it, going,
So immediately when you see that, you think, okay, I know what I'm in for now. This is just going to be, it's going to be, like you say, batshit crazy from the off, and nothing's going to stop it. It's just going to be insane.
I'm a fucking miracle worker because I am going to make it rain.
Oh, yes! Here we go! Oh, that's nasty!
For God's sake!
Oh my God! Okay.
Can you feel your legs?
The head decapitation thing is awesome, right? I don't get the blood hooker though.
It's just ridiculous. It's like purposely ridiculous.
Oh, but she's like, once she's all in white, she walks in, just like, I'm just gonna dance.
But this is just like, a parody of like, in a lot of like 70s and 80s action movies.
Yeah.
The villains were ridiculously violent, like elaborate as well, like a display of like, I'm gonna be so violent now and do this. And
Yeah, and this is exactly what that is, but I have never seen something that creative before. Like, that's kind of ingenious.
Yeah.
I just think that's all fine until the blood hooker game.
It's like in Total Recall when Arnie breaks out of his restraints,
Oh yeah.
jabs what like a pole in someone's face.
Yeah.
And then, like,
And then an axe and it's like
so violent.
oh my god, it was awesome. And we don't get that. We don't get that much anymore of this. It's kind of nice when a movie wants to do a bring that back kind of thing.
It kind of tells you, like, if you can endure what happened in the first 10 minutes, you're going to like the rest of it.
Yeah.
If you don't like anything like that, it literally tells you to switch it off almost. It tells you, like, nah, you can't handle the rest if you think that is it, because that's tame.
Well, interesting thing I want to add. I didn't tell you about this. I was saving it for the podcast. I have seen a bit of this movie before when it came onto Netflix first time round. And I was one of those people, when the first time I watched this, I saw the opening scene and I didn't know anything about the movie at that particular point. I didn't know what it was about and what it was kind of like. There was no build-up, basically, of like people telling me about it and thinking, nah, you got to stick to it. I just put it on, saw that, and I thought, what the fuck is this? And I just thought, no, you know what? I'm going to turn it off because, like, now we're in the day of like of streaming. You don't have to commit to a movie. If you're not in the mood for it at that particular time, you just turn it off. And I was one of those people, like you said, that I saw that scene and I was like, nah, you know what? I'm not in the mood for this. So I'm going to turn it off. So that's all I've seen at that opening scene.
Awesome. So does that mean then that now that you sat down with me, like semi-forced to watch the rest of this movie, have I swayed you now?
Yeah, I am glad that I watched it all now because there are some great bits that I wouldn't have seen if I hadn't stuck to it, and like there's just some awesome things that are introduced later on that if you do commit to it, you get to see those bits. So it's like
and they are really, really awesome. So he goes in on the freight train and he arrives and he goes into the town and. The city itself is literally the first reaction is everything's gone to shit, and it's just been a few minutes. So there's you get to actually meet all the mini antagonists, like all the side quests, like it was like in a video game. All the bad guys that you kind of get to meet along the way.
Yeah.
There's quite a few of them. We can go through some of them now. So one was my personal favorite is the pedophile Santa. So you're introduced to a pedophile Santa. Who is the first time you introduced to him? He's driving a car, laughing maniacally, like and there's literally a kid in the back of the car going, "Help! Help! Help!" What?
Yeah, I mean, like we were saying while we were watching it. If this movie wasn't so cartoon-like, it would just be very offensive and it wouldn't nail it at all. It would be like you'd just turn it off straight away, wouldn't you? Like or every time.
There are moments where you're thinking like, this could. I'm surprised I'm still going with this.
Yeah.
Because this really does push the bar in some of them.
Yeah, that was a pedophile Santa taking a kid away in a car. This is what this town is. Thank God.
It's like if you're a vigilante, you'd be like, well, where do I start? Fucking hell.
It's like there's like what's your first kill? What's the first thing you do? It's like fucking just turn left and you'll get something.
So one of the first steps he does is, so the first step after that, he goes to the arcade, which, again, you can see how it starts topping up. So he goes to the arcade, and a lot of stuff is made noticing as well. It's like, it's very fucking 80s.
Yeah.
Like, all of it's influential 80s. Like, arcade machines, the two brothers, what the bloody hell were their names? Ivan and Slick.
Yeah. They just look like they're cliche 80s like goons, aren't they? Like
proper
with the Ray-Ban sunglasses, the baseball Letterman jacket type things they've got on, like jock jackets, aren't they?
Proper
like,
jock jacket,
yeah.
And they're coming round and doing that kind of stuff. They got the swagger. You got Slick, who is like the sort of the pervert, and you got Ivan, who is just, I think he's my favorite. He's the one who's going woo a lot and looks like he's constantly on coke. It's so 80s, and I love all the nods to the 80s-ness, like the VHS tapes, like random bits that you think might be a thing in this world, but they're not. Like no one uses, like all the mobile phones are like really 80s mobile phones, like or they use payphones instead of mobiles.
Is it supposed to be set in the 80s, or is it just like homaging the 80s?
I think it's homaging it because it feels, because there are moments where you think, oh, it's quite contemporary, but it's not. The best way to describe it, it's not 80s enough to be 80s, but it's not modern enough to be nowadays. So it's like an alter universe, because not everyone's dressed incredibly 80s, or they're not showing like big hair, sunglasses,
it's
shoulder
just
pads.
the bad guys really that are incredibly 80s, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And like, there are some bits, like for example, the guy who's a filmmaker, like the crazy ass like hobo filmmaker, he's using this old sort of like VHS tape sort of thing, and all the phones are mobile. The mobile phones are the big bricks, and shit like that. But there's all these little homages that way, but you can't. There's no time period. It doesn't seem like it's like set in a time. It's just say like everything's 80s. Thing is, by this point, loads of stuff happens. So Rutger Hauer goes into the arcade, and within 3 minutes, there's like 4 deaths in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
So again, if you're not seeing it coming, there's a lot of it. So got a guy's. What was it? I'm trying. Here's the thing. I should have made notes.
Yeah, because there's so many, isn't there?
I think this is something we need to talk about in general. Like, there's so much death in this.
I think maybe just talk about the ones we remember the most, like the highlight deaths.
God, there is a show reel of all these deaths. So, first of all, you then got that teenager who's basically wanting cocaine. And he gets his arm, like, broken in half by
joystick in the arcade.
God! It goes like, it's like, oh, do you want to play?
Yeah.
Just fucking breaks it in half. Like, it was so easy as well how he did it. Just like, bam. So that one is, there's like the bumper cars, where a lot of random guys out of nowhere, his head gets exploded, pop like a zit.
Yeah.
With 2 of these, like...
That's the thing, that the bad guys are so kind of like lawless that they just seem to like, for pleasure, just destroy people.
It just do. There is no remorse out of these guys, which kind of adds to the whole cartoonish stuff, because if there was anything, even if there was no sign of remorse, but everything was realistic, you'd think like, this is actually getting really uncomfortable. But because it happens literally every few minutes, like after that head popping scene, a guy's foot gets exploded with a mallet, and then arm gets broken, and then everyone's jumping into the pile of cocaine. Guy gets his head just shoved into the cocaine and goes.
It's just nuts.
Okay.
It reminds me actually as well of like, you know, sort of crazy computer games where the bad guys are just like cartoon-like and kind of like, and you don't really know much about them other than the fact that they're monsters and they kind of just want to kill people.
It's like these are the best way to describe it. They're like Streets of Rage villains.
Yeah.
They're like
Like extreme versions of that, like Streets of Rage with like an R rating kind of thing.
Yeah, like you imagine this. You see later on, like they're coming in like on the side, about to come in, dropping a corner, they're getting ready to punch, and just instead of like just punching you, they just take out a machete and just chop off your head, because that's what they do.
But they did remind me of that, you know, like beat 'em up villains.
Because they're so unrealistic, and I think. This is the reason why I enjoyed it, is because it is unrealistic. But even us who love gore, who love like extreme stupid gore and ridiculous stuff, I think by the end of this movie, I think we had enough.
Yeah.
Like, we had our fill.
I wanted to add the point that I only really like gore when it's fake and silly like this.
Yeah.
I you know, when a movie's like actually looks realistic, when it's disgusting, when it's like realistic gore makes me feel very uncomfortable, and I don't really tend to watch many Like it's like I never got the whole torture porn genre and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
like that kind of stuff. I do like gore if it's ridiculous like this. So yeah, it's just. I mean, what do you think about like? Do you like realistic gore or?
Thing is, I like gore in general because I think the idea of gore is that you want a reaction out of it. Like even watching this and it's cartoonish, I still winced.
Yeah.
Like I wince a lot. Maybe that's just me. Like anything gory, I'm just like I don't like it, but I love it really.
Yeah.
Even when it's real, even if it's more realistic, I'm more terrified.
Yeah.
But I love the fact that it's done well. Right? If gore's done well, I'm a big fan. If gore's done terribly, I just laugh at it and it's like, well, what's the point of that? You know, like whatever. It's so if it's over the top, I have a good time with it. If it is realistic and it makes me genuinely uncomfortable, then it's done its job and I'm happy with it. So I'm happy with gore. I just think like it needs to be done with the right amount.
Yeah.
Like if you had realistic gore and the whole movie was realistic gore, I would be switching it off in about 15 minutes because it's too much, right? If with this being so cartoony, there were literally 5 deaths in about 10 to 15 minutes. So by that point, get your seatbelt on.
Oh! Like a balloon.
What's so like sort of grim about this movie is of how cheap it looks. It just looks very cheap.
That looked like a watermelon just being popped. Oh, it's nasty.
Hey, Frank, you gotta check this out, man. It's fucking awesome.
Christ.
It's already been a minute, and already a man's head gets blown off, and a person's lost a foot. Now that's a gore level I wouldn't expect coming. Oh, sweet Jesus. Yeah, because cocaine does that to you instantly.
It's like, no, all that pain just gone, fully gone.
Oh God, you know how you just literally broke your arm? Fuck that, just smother yourself in cocaine.
Or use it to cut welfare checks from your London skin.
Ooh.
You better cut one to Mother Teresa so you can give it to her while she's finger banging you in the ass.
What a line!
You filthy bastard. Mother Teresa is a goddamn saint.
From that point, all this, he goes and sees all this stuff in the arcade, and this is where we're first introduced to Abby, who is the hooker with a heart of gold.
Yeah.
Which is the another stereotypical sort of point there. I actually think that she's probably one of my favorite parts of the movie. I think she is really, really good in general. But the fact that her character is just, she's a hooker, but she's so sweet, and she's the only sort of at the beginning anyway, the only normal person in this town, because everyone else is fucking batshit.
Yeah.
That it's nice when I can see her and go like, oh, finally a regular human being. Good God.
Although it's weird to begin with, though. You don't know how to feel about her to begin with because she's a hooker, and she's sort of like just wants to get sort of like her money off that the horrible guy you're introduced to. Slick, yeah. And because she's sort of like doesn't mind sleeping with him, at first you're thinking like, I know you're a prostitute and stuff, but like, I don't know how I feel about you if you're gonna just go with that guy, you know what I mean?
It's like, so your taste kind of dropped, hasn't it?
And I know that she's just like making a living or whatever, but it just at that particular point in the film, you're thinking, well, I don't know whether I like you yet, you know, like. So.
But that's the thing is like, this is her character, so like, oh, she's just doing this for the money, but then later on we realize her real goals and so on. So this is the thing, like, for someone who's supposed to be like a very shallow character, she's the one that actually feels like she's got more of an arc, while everyone else is kind of just flatline, cartoonish, two-dimensional, crazy ass shit. Since Rutger Hauer sees this, and he has, the one thing I love about this, Rutger Hauer has all the amazing looks.
Yeah.
He stares at them all the time, and when he's staring at something, he looks like he's seen death. It's like he's seen shit. It's like in Vietnam flashbacks.
And he can just do that with looks. You know, that's how much of a great actor he is. He can tell stories with just an expression in his face. You know, like
he raises an eyebrow, and suddenly he tells you so much.
Yeah.
So he sees this happening, and stops Slick. And takes him to the police station. And this is when we realize that everyone's involved, not just like the bad guys, but everyone's basically corrupt. Like I was mentioning, we have the corrupt cop,
Yeah.
who they're having a conversation with at the beginning. It looks like they're having some kind of conspiracy theory sort of chat. And then realize, no, everyone is in on it. Oh my god! And so
It's quite how quickly that turns is great because like the first I was like, this is a bit weird. Like the cop's really old for a start. Is it odd?
it's like a million.
And then like at first he's just like saying stuff like, yeah, I agree with you, mate. You know, it's like
like
the town's like fucked and I wish I could do something about it. And then all of a sudden he's like, yeah, but I'm bad too.
Oh, you get down the ground, motherfucker!
Look, if I'm being honest, I can't argue with anything you say. Crime in this city has become an embarrassment. I've been suspecting that some of my boys are working with Drake. Can't see things getting this much out of hand unless some of my officers are giving that maniac a free rein. So thank God for honest people like yourself.
You better get those officers and send them packing. You can start this whole operation all over again.
Between you and me, I'd love to bring the wrecking ball down on Drake. You know, he might as well be king around here.
Kings fall. You ought to read a history book, Chief. I gave you this little bastard, put him away for life.
Well, we're certainly going to see what we can do about that. By the way, did anybody officially welcome you to town yet?
They never do.
Well, welcome to Bucktown!
And that means and then the two brothers just storm in, and just the first thing he does, they get a knife and just stab him, and just write down the word "scum" on his chest.
Yeah.
And we generally thought like at the beginning of it, oh, he's dead now.
Yeah, because when you see that scene, the first like stab that goes in, that looks like it would kill him because it's like really seems deep.
It's
doesn't it?
deep. It's a deep cut, like legit.
Yeah.
By that point, it bumps back into the hooker again, and they go to the apartment and gives him a jumper. It gives him a bear jumper. There's some things that I think are really nice and subtle, but I think we might have missed the bigger picture. Like, for example, they reference bears a lot.
Yeah.
That went over my head. I don't understand
I don't
all the reference of bears. Why she likes bears so much. Don't know why. They give. there's a point where
No, but sometimes we've said before, we're watching like Troll 2. Sometimes we overanalyze. Sometimes there might not be a reason for that.
there might not be a reason. It's oh, she just likes bears.
Yeah.
It's okay.
I just want to go to the zoo. We'll get to that.
Get to that. Oh, I just want to go to the zoo and see the bears with you. Oh, that's a romantic date right there after all this shit.
Fall asleep now. You hear me? There's one more thing I have to do.
I just want to go to the zoo and see the bears with you. Don't leave.
Bears don't belong in a zoo.
So they get to know each other, get acquainted, and he gets to sleep in a bed after a long time, and he looks really fucking comfortable in that jumper, this bear jumper, looking
So snug.
he looks so comfy, to the point that I'm convinced that he was legitimately falling asleep.
Joe, the only way to top that would be if he was in a bear onesie.
Oh my god, yes! He should have looked like a giant human teddy bear. And just go like saying, "You comfy?" Yes.
Maybe got a hot water bottle as well, like got a mug of cocoa and all sorts.
It's like, "Are you comfy?" Yes. And the thing is, imagine all that while he's doing his mini monologue about bears. So he's talking like saying like bears are lone creatures, but also at the same time, like, you know, you don't want to piss them off. And so on.
If a bear gets a taste of human blood, it becomes a killer. Like, he only wants to kill like men or something like that.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, but by the time he says that, he's dozing off, so it just looks like this is fucking bears. This is.
But the funny thing is that she was like, "Oh, I didn't know bears were like dangerous." It's like, yeah, bears are pretty dangerous. It's common knowledge.
They're fucking bears. I don't know, bears were dangerous. Okay. Did you always see a teddy bear and go, "Oh, they all must be this cuddly"?
I think she's just watched too much Winnie the Pooh.
Winnie the Pooh and what was it? Care Bears.
Yeah.
Oh, I used to watch Care Bears as a kid. I just thinking, imagine that she just thought Care Bears. That's literally all the kind of bears there are. At this point, it's been about 20 minutes in, and our hobo hasn't got a shotgun yet.
No.
So he goes to the crazy guy with the camera, who's like, he's like a sadist, and we don't know what the fuck he's there for.
No.
But he's a fucking sadist, and he's paying homeless people to do like nasty stuff, like in this case, eating broken glass, and
it's just disgusting. It's like this guy is like the worst guy ever.
But that's the thing, is we say he's the worst guy ever, but then just wait a minute, and then someone else is the worst guy ever. And then we wait somewhere, and then there's another worst guy ever.
Yeah.
Like, there's a list. We'll go through every of them eventually. So he goes out, he finally gets the $50. So he goes to $50, he goes to the pawn shop called, what was it, Pawn Till Dawn?
Yeah.
And he goes there and says like, right, I'm finally going to buy this lawnmower. But then obviously with the music sort of being like very sweet, and finally getting up a bit, and everything's all nice. And then, fucking hell, then what happens? Obviously, 3 people start to bloody rob the place, don't they? And it's so like, okay, right. Okay, there's people start robbing the place. And this is when he looks to the side, and there's a shotgun next to him. And it's also $50. So he's contemplating, what do I do? Just staring at them like he's having like an internal crisis about lawnmower, gun. Lawnmower, gun. And obviously, what does he do? He gets a flipping shotgun and just blows everybody away. And from that,
so I think in I know it's a ridiculous situation and everything, but like I think this character is he should have like a I've got nothing to lose kind of thought in his head. So I think it would take him less time to like, well, I may as well just kind of be a vigilante because I have literally got nothing to lose. But he's really clinging on to the whole lawnmower thing for a while, isn't he?
Yeah, he's holding on to it. Like, he's holding on to it. He's crying into it. It's like, God, I really want this lawnmower. This is my favorite thing. I want this. And then he's just like, but I can't just leave this crazy person who's holding a gun to a baby.
Like the baby's a threat, like, or something.
He's like, shut up, motherfucker. What? Okay. And so he finally gets a shotgun and blows everybody away. And, you know, and by this point...
that is so cool when is it the first one? He blows him into a load of VHS tapes. It's just...
I like
it's like it's such an 80s thing, you know.
That should be our poster for the future. That should just be us, a man getting blown to smithereens for a pile of VHS tapes.
It's so uplifting at this point, isn't it? It's like he's finally getting that lawnmower.
It's like it's quite a sort of a contrast now and again. It's like it goes from very horrible, like nasty stuff going on to like.
This movie's kind of schizophrenic. Like, it'll do something really gruesome and nasty, then something really funny, and then something really sweet. And they are all legitimately all these things. But it's like, I'm getting whiplash.
Why does he want the lawnmower so much?
Because he can finally then save up money and have his own business. I think he wants to say, like, finally have a lawnmower. I can feel like a human being. Until a bunch of guys come in with guns and machetes. He's pointing a gun at the baby.
This guy, he is a great babysitter. Don't worry about you.
Now what does he do? That shotgun's $50.
I'm gonna sleep in your bloody carcasses tonight.
Yes!
Why is it loaded?
It's like, oh, of course, you know, we load up the guns right there. Oh, man, right in the VHS tapes.
You.
Hey, guns! Get the change.
Great.
Oh, fuck.
I think that's the reaction anyone would have had if they saw that. Holy shit.
So now he's got his shotgun and everything is now officially on full blast mode. He goes on a rampage and literally, just like you expect, he goes around and shoots every bad guy. And we can go through the list. He finally goes and kills Pedophile Santa, which is the most ridiculous person, I think. He shoots the filmmaker and then tells him to eat his own tape.
Yeah. It must be so satisfying.
Oh, that was, when I saw that, I'm going, yes! Eat that tape, motherfucker! Eat that tape! So he goes, eats the tape. Then there is this weird ass shit where there's two guys playing poker who are snorting cocaine with three women being beaten up and hanging?
Yeah.
Like meat? And it's never been introduced before, and you never see this again. We have no idea what the fuck this is.
Yeah.
And Rutger Hauer just comes in and just blows them away.
Yeah. It's just some crazy stuff. I mean, there are bits where there's stuff going on in the background that's very distracting.
Yeah, this happens a lot.
Yeah.
Throughout the entire movie, when something serious is happening, and this like 3 or 4 times we've noticed this. Something very serious is happening, like there's a very serious conversation or something. There is some random ass shit just happening behind them.
Okay. What is happening?
What happened to you? School bully gets your lunch like a jack-o'-lantern. Put your head on the table. Hey, done. Now. Don't worry, son. Everything.
Meanwhile, there is basically topless pinata happening in the background. It's so
God, the amount of like the brainstorming that must have gone on in terms of like, well, we're gonna have some crazy stuff going on in this movie. What can you think of? And like they've thought there's some really creative stuff going on. Like
I know, right? Like
the most horrible things you can imagine happen, don't they?
and half of them are like in the background or just randomly appear, and you're thinking, God, this town is fucked. Like totally fucked up.
All the chaos is happening. Rutger Hauer's finally going through it. He's beating all up and so on and so forth. And so Drake is basically going to say, you need to scare the living hell out of these people, because they're now starting to believe how that one man with a shotgun, which actually shows that he's actually quite piss easy to take over a town, right? You just get one man and a shotgun can take over all the crime in the city. And it's like, so he does like probably one of the most nastiest things in the movie. Do you want to talk about that?
Oh no, it's just. I mean, the thing is with this movie, it's like you know horrible stuff's going to happen, and you think, well, how can it get any worse? But then, yeah, they just go. There's a school bus full of kids. They just go in with flamethrowers and just burn all these kids.
I will admit, that was really, the way that was delivered up to that point is really funny, and literally tortures the entire fucking bus with Disco Inferno playing in the background.
It's just horrible.
But his expression was amazing.
Do you kids like school? Hey, I asked you a question. Do you kids
like school? Yeah! What about ice cream? Do you kids like ice cream? Yeah! And bicycles? And hobos?
I hate hobos.
So it's finally escalated, and they basically go onto the news. They go onto the news and kill a guy with a fucking ice skate.
Yeah.
And go and say like, right, we have an ultimatum: kill every single homeless person ever. If you can kill all the homeless people for us, you know, this town will be safe. Everything will be ours. And Drake comes in with all these women, and you can have all my women.
Yeah.
And then it goes on a bloody rampage and everything goes to pot. And so he's trying to, this is where the plot starts ramping up and starts getting more and more.
Because not only has he got like, is Rook Howe's character got the criminals to contend with, he's got like the general public that now want to kill all the hobos.
Who are literally an angry mob.
Yeah. They have pitchforks.
Literally pitchforks and torches and everything else. They're literally like going, as it were, and they're going batshit. And they're about to escape. And then this is where then the brothers go back and try and beat him up with what Ivan does with ice skates. And the other guy does it with like a flipping...
So creative though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Ice skates.
This is the thing. I'll say one thing about this movie. Every single death is incredibly creative. Like, if you think you can kill someone in one way, this movie will say, hold my beer. I'll chop this one up for you.
Why? That's a bit much. He's hulking out. He's extra toasty.
It's cartoon-like at times, isn't it? Like,
it's all. Oh God, I can't. Oh, that's so distracting. Oh my God, it is the most over-the-top thing. Oh my God.
He made me come! Oh God!
He made me come.
What the fuck is going on in there? You better be killing that fucking hobo!
And so they have this sort of battle where Slick finally dies by getting a shotgun to the penis. Slick finally dies by getting a shotgun to the penis. Yeah. God, it sounds so weird every time I say it. This is the thing. It's getting worse every time I talk about it.
Duct taped. He's got his shotgun duct taped to his penis.
Again, creative. But it's so weird to say. Like, so he gets he gets a shotgun to the penis, getting duct tape, and the other guy, Ivan, gets electrocuted with a toaster with an ice skate, and he gets half his body like burned to a crisp.
It's just like when he's like, he made me come.
It's like he gets off on this shit. Oh my God, it's so fucking ridiculous. Oh, it's awesome. I think what I love about this movie in general, that it gives literally no fucks. Everyone swears, everyone cusses, everyone's direct.
Yeah.
Everyone just sort of is 100% on board on this. And that's what makes it so great.
Oh God. Have you gone to the point now that the movie's so violent that whenever you do something violent, you no longer feel like fazed by it anymore?
Desensitized.
You're actually desensitized as the movie goes on?
Yeah.
So now it's like, oh, there's blood in this. Oh, homeless people burnt. You know, whatever.
Yeah.
It needs to totally top itself in order to be shocking now. Like, really, like, oh my God.
Where are you? What happened?
He shot my dick off!
God. Don't show it.
I think, to be honest though, a shotgun that close range, it would blow a hole in that area. Not it would blow your bottom half off, wouldn't it? Really? Like,
It would just be like a gaping hole
Yeah.
from his front to his butt. Okay.
that's the bus to hell. Obviously.
Oh, that's awesome.
And eventually, Slick's sitting. Oh, Slick's sitting in the phone booth, and he sits back, and he realizes that death is coming for him.
I love that actually. It's like the bus to hell.
That was so awesome. And then you see him there going, no, no, and again, like you think like, and that's the only kind of moment actually that was like really sort of like let's take you out of this moment to be almost supernatural, because nothing else was supernatural in this movie.
You could almost like picture Freddy Krueger on that bus, like in Freddy like 2, isn't it? Like
I
with
would
the
love
bus.
it. I love it if Freddy. It's like you just sort of like Freddy Krueger come out and says like, "It's time for your ride, Slick." All this happens. Slick dies. Ivan now is the only brother left, and he's now on he's on a vengeance quest to redeem himself. And so it's like, right, and then Drake goes and said like, right, my favorite son is dead. And he says it right in front of his other fucking kid as well. He doesn't give two shits.
No. I think we know by that point that he doesn't give a shit about anything.
Pretty much.
Other than that son.
Other than that son, who was an asshole anyway.
Yeah.
They're both assholes, but that one's like a real asshole. Now, here's an interesting thing, actually. I was just looking up on some facts. There was quite a few people who were in the role for Drake, but there was one person who they were this close to getting. And I think as a wrestling fan, I think you'll like this. Jake the Snake Roberts.
Oh my God. I would have loved that.
I know! Imagine just Jake the Snake, just the way he looks like that, just go like, want them all fucking dead. Need all these fucking homeless people dead. Playing around with a snake.
But I reckon they probably would have loved to have Jake as well. But Jake's a very unreliable guy nowadays, isn't he?
Yeah, he's
always messed up, isn't he?
Yeah, he was a little bit off the rails for a while. I think now he's sober, thank God for him. But I think the movie needed another caricature. Because what I mean by caricature is like you've already got actors playing caricatures. Because all the bad guys are like literally the most ridiculous thing ever. Every bad guy from Pedophile Santa to Hobo filmmaker to the weird like coke dens, the pimps, they're all ridiculous cartoons. But I think we need an actual person who isn't Rutger Hauer, who you can see and go like, holy shit.
Yeah.
That would work. And I think I would have been more on board with the rest of it. Because other than that, you don't really go full 100% with Drake.
No, because it's like normally in a movie, you get your hero is a known person, and your antagonist is someone you know as well.
Yeah, and I think it was missing something. Like I felt like it really needed that little extra something.
Yeah.
Just so therefore the movie was more fun. Like I'm not saying the movie isn't fun. The movie has its moments, which is like holy shit, whoa, fist pump, and all that stuff.
Summon the plague. Tell them to bring me that hobo.
Now this is my favorite part of the whole movie.
Yeah, my favorite part is the plague as well. Like they're introduced so late, but they're really, really charismatic characters. It's like, wow, these guys are amazing.
All right, describe who the plague are, because they're very...
Well, they kind of almost seem like they're robots. They talk like robots. They're in suits of armor, and they just got like a collection of weaponry, and they're just really good with weapons, and they're really creative with their kills, and they just like seem untouchable, unbeatable, and just like sort of action figures, aren't they? Like, yeah,
they're like Terminators,
Yeah.
like pretty much. They're full blown like knight's armor almost, and they sound like robots, like you were saying. Like they're like robot gear, and
irreplaceable.
Oh my God, it's like
No, replaceable. Sorry,
replaceable.
not irreplaceable.
No,
The
Jesus.
opposite.
The complete opposite of that. So we got these two robots basically
Yeah.
who look like they walked off the set of Mad Max. just
Like medieval Mad Max.
Perfect. They're medieval Mad Max like goons. They're driving on motorcycles with a coffin behind them.
Oh, nice. Oh! Whom!
I think I'm being robots.
Sounds like a Dalek. Whom!
The thing is though, these like the nurses and doctors, they're not even really getting in the way. They're just kind of like there. And
It's like,
just,
oh no! And just like, bam!
So the two robots go in, destroy the place.
nurses, doctors, anyone that gets in the way. And sometimes people are not even in the way. They're just kind of there. And they just, I'm going to kill you in a really gruesome way.
Just grab them. And they grab them, like, they put them, like, on a noose and just launch them, like, into the fucking ceiling.
Yeah.
I mean, that was really cool. And I think that moment when the plague arrived is such a good, like, injection of, like, fun.
Yeah.
Because the movie was starting to get to a point it was no longer becoming fun. It was becoming just nasty.
Yeah.
And so the moment these two robots appear out of fucking nowhere, one that doesn't speak but sounds like a fucking, like, Dalek.
Yeah. Wow. Just makes like, this is like loads of sci-fi sound effects.
Wow. You see, again, the homage to the 80s stuff, it all sounds like synth noise.
Yeah.
So so we go back again quickly and all this, and they capture him. They capture Rutger Hauer, who does an amazing speech. I think that's supposed
to a bunch of babies.
This, I think, was the speech that when they were doing it and they're writing it the first time around, I think this was going to be like, this is going to be your Blade Runner speed monologue moment. I'm writing this down for you. I think it's almost in your speech. This is your speech, right? And while it was awesome, I think it was a really, really fucking cool speech. You're distracted because the babies start crying more.
It's comical, isn't it? You know?
The babies start crying more and more and more as they told them, like, where, like, this crazy homeless guy holding a shotgun saying, like, you know, when you grow up, you're all gonna be whores. You're gonna be all junkies. You're
shooting up dope.
Shooting up dope on this with dirty needles.
In a bus stop.
Oh my god. Or you might end up like me. And then he gets close to the window and pushes his face. A hobo with a shotgun.
And that's like cringe that he says the title of the movie. That's always a bit cringy in movies, you know, when like character at some point a character goes, I'm gonna just announce the title of the movie.
Title drop.
A long time ago, I was one of you. You're all brand new and perfect. No mistakes, no regrets. People look at you and think of how wonderful your future will be. They want you to be something special, like a doctor or a lawyer. I hate to tell you this, but if you grow up here, you're more likely to wind up selling your bodies on the streets or shooting dope from dirty needles in a bus stop. And if you're successful, you'll make money selling junk to crackheads. And you won't think twice about killing someone's wife because you won't even know what was wrong in the first place. Maybe you'll end up like me. A hobo with a shotgun. I hope you can do better. You are the future.
So he does that awesome speech, and then obviously the robots come in and take him away, and they shove him in the back of a coffin.
Yeah.
Being tugged away like a full force and full fucking speed.
And this is another like Western type thing. 'Cause you know, like in Westerns when they attach like a rope to the leg or something of it, and then drag them along the dirt. Like.
Yeah, but I think that totally slipped my mind.
Yeah.
I never realised that. It's a little bit like you've put every single movie that you think of when you think of this of Grindhouse and put it all into a blender.
Yeah.
And you get and you just blended it in. But instead of like picking out the best bits, he just told you just to fucking chug it and hope to God that everything stays in there instead of throwing half of this shit out.
Yeah. When was this made?
2011. So it's fairly recent, this version, but it already looks and sounds like one of these bizarre, like Italian westerns.
Yeah. It's like, well, I suppose people like Tarantino who inspired a lot of these kind of movies.
Totally.
Yeah, because obviously more like a more recent inspiration anyway, because obviously the original...
In pure Technicolor.
Yeah.
So yeah.
The original, you know, B movies of the 70s and 80s, obviously the original inspiration, but like Tarantino sort of relaunched all that.
And say like, you know, these movies were secretly awesome, just no one's seen them. So we kind of need to thank Tarantino for bringing back the love of Grindhouse, basically.
Yeah.
Which is something we have to talk about as well quickly because we haven't had a chance to. Is the soundtrack? Because
it's good, but the only thing like I've mentioned when we were watching it, there's some like a lot of inconsistencies. It's not like if it doesn't like it's not all like a synth soundtrack,
which would have been awesome for this.
There's now and again you've got some like random like sort of orchestral music going in there, like and then you've got sort of bits of like TV movie type music, and there's a lot of inconsistencies with the score and lots of other things going on.
The whole movie's schizophrenic, though.
Yeah.
So I think it matches the craziness of the movie in general, but it is a little bit like Whiplash. Like you listen to something and you've got like this sudden really cool synthwave noise, and there's some really awesome synthwave tracks in this movie.
Yeah.
And then suddenly it's pan flutes. And you're like, okay. And then it sounds like something out of a Western. And you're like, okay.
Yeah, the opening is certainly like Western-like, isn't it? Yeah.
It's like a proper spaghetti Western opening. You know, him on the freight train, all the bright colors, and even the text feels a little bit like that. Yeah. So, but it's like literally like a shot in the chest every time music or scene changes. Christ, that's a bit. Calm down. Chill. The ending. What do you think of the ending of the movie?
Well, it I don't know. I think it ends fairly well. It's sort of wrapped up.
Yeah.
I like the sequence. Like of all eventually all like the general public standing up for themselves and standing up for the hobo with a shotgun, and they're turning against like the cops, which is like which is great. And it's a good climax.
Yeah.
And then it just, I love the way, I mean, it just cuts off, doesn't it? And then the 80s music kicks in. And it's just like, yeah.
Because by this point, what it feels like is obviously Rutger Hauer is now getting involved in the manhole death thing. He's about to get involved by having robot number one about to drag his head off. But then Abby comes in, who looks fucking badass by this point. Like, she's got the thing, she's got the shotgun, she's got the lawnmower that she's about to just grind people down with, and kills one of the robots.
Yeah.
Like, by just shredding all the armor off into bits.
Was that with the lawnmower?
Yeah.
It's like, it's just the base of the lawnmower, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
that she's got some kind of like, it's like almost like a shield. Like, it looks like a shield.
Yeah.
But it's got the lawnmower blade in it.
Which is really fucking cool. Like, it's a really cool bit. But it's a shame because that part's only used once. At least in terms of that effect by her.
Yeah.
It then gets weirder and nastier. Because then Drake grabs her. And everyone's trying to, and basically everyone's foiling each other's plans, but they're all foiling each other's plans like really fucking quickly. And I think the movie then ends a little before the ending with probably the nastiest sort of like gruesome, gory moment I think out of the entire movie. Really, it's the bit
the
where
fingers, yeah.
Yeah, Abby's fingers get shoved into the lawnmower.
And it's like, it's not even being subtle about it. I know this movie's not subtle in any way, but like...
The subtlety is not a word.
Sometimes some of the gore, it cuts away, then you see it, or something like that. But in that case, every moment is on camera. It's like, you
the
see...
hand was getting closer, and we all knew what was coming. And then suddenly you see her face like, ah! And then suddenly just fucking fingers flying. Her hand turns into a bony stump.
Yeah, and that looks very... That's one of the moments where it looks realistic, doesn't it?
It looked nasty.
Yeah.
It was too much. I think that was a bit too much. And so she goes and gets like, and just stabs Drake multiple times.
With her spiky bone stump.
No!
That looked gross.
Oh, even the audience there is like, that's fucked up. And they're here to see a murder show. Oh, it's a fucking stump. Yes! Well, that's what I call bad to the bone.
Did she stab him with her sharp, like a bone, basically?
Yes! She's just, I've got a stump, but I know how to use it.
But there was definitely a time, but nearly by the end of the movie, where literally all this is happening, all the police arrive, all the bad, all everyone, all the town and everyone else turns on the cops, and everyone just fucking shoots everything.
Yeah.
It ends so abruptly. When, the 80s music suddenly pops off. And by the end of it, you don't really feel like you got any closure. You're just like, there it is.
Yeah.
You're like...
I mean, I do, like I said, though, I do like the fact that because the whole town seems like they're just on board with this, it's Drake, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like it just seemed like that, we'll go along with it because we can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, they are doing something about it. They're
God.
turning on him. And that's a good point for it to end, I think. But
Yeah,
it does end like in an exclamation mark.
It's like saying, it's like literally a shootout where literally blood and guts, loads of people die. Rutger Hauer's lying on the ground. Spoilers, he does die in this, or at least we think so. And it just pans up towards a shotgun. And you're thinking like, ooh, okay, we're going to then cut to like something more dramatic. And then suddenly just... And you're like...
It's proper feel-good 80s music.
I know!
God.
Everyone just dies in a blaze of glory. And that's how it ends.
Music.
I'm telling you, oh God. It's so uplifting. Like, if you didn't see the movie before this and just heard this, you'd go into a club going, cool, man.
Yeah.
But it ends mercifully in that point, right there and then, and allows you just to laugh everything off. Like, everything was a joke. Like, you sit back going, oh, relief. You finally got that moment of relief. Even though it's not closure, I felt like, finally I can breathe.
Yeah.
I don't have to sit there anxiously waiting about what the next batshit crazy thing's about to happen next.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. Yeah. It's. I mean, there are moments to breathe in it where it's like, because we've said like when we're watching it, it's like a schizophrenic movie. There's moments where it's kind of sweet and stuff, and you're not kind of like, then you kind of like going, oh, you can't those particular moments, and you can calm down for a bit, can't you?
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's really jarring the fact that it's gone from like chaos to like this really sweet kind of moment.
It's literally like someone shouting in your face and then suddenly just giving you a hug and a whisper, going like, "I'm so sorry for that."
But it reminds me of kind of something like, like The Last House on the Left, when you got like
yes!
the weird
God!
The weird comedy cops and stuff.
Oh my God! Actually, the way we're talking, that's exactly what this is.
Yeah.
It's like Last House on the Left by Wes Craven. There are three things about that movie that always bug me. Like Last House on the Left is iconic, but I don't actually think it's a good movie. I think it's trashy but not in a good way. So you have all the rapey murder sequences that are really uncomfortable to watch. Then you have the soundtrack that looks like clearly coming out of like Woodstock. That is so jarring. And then you got the bumbling cops in between.
Yeah.
And you're sitting there going like, okay, so now there's rape and murder, bubbly cops. Oh, we're so chill now. And his movie's exactly the same.
And that's an example of like just immaturity as a director, I think.
Yeah.
At the time, like because he was obviously trying to counteract with the whole nastiness with like, well, I need to like calm him down in between, but maybe not done that in the correct way. You know? But like, and obviously in this movie, it's a bit, the tone is completely different, but. It's similar kind of feeling though, isn't it? The fact that you've got like the crazy gore going on, and then you've just got this sweet scene where he's just looking after this girl and like,
and they're sharing a bed and it's lovely, and they're talking about growing grass and cutting it down and having a job. And he's sitting there going like, oh dear, what's happening next?
Anyone who likes sort of like horror comedy type, like Evil Dead type movie,
yes, totally,
would love this film. But anyone else won't like this film.
Like, yeah, no one else will.
It's really, really blunt, but like that is pretty much it.
Yeah,
like, and so I'd definitely recommend it to anyone who loves those crazy, gory, funny movies.
Yeah, because it's like Evil Dead 2 levels of gore.
Yeah.
But I think even more so because it's just ridiculous, because it's so relentless. It's like being hit with a brick over and over again every 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It's a roller coaster ride that really makes you wish you could just like pause it for a minute just to reevaluate that you just saw someone just got cut open by a razor blade baseball bat.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay. So yeah, I think this movie is like a burning bus. It's like watching a car crash where you really shouldn't be watching it for so long, but you're so infatuated by how batshit it's getting. It's like a pile-up. It keeps going and going and going and going. And by the end of it, when finally the last car finally hits the pile, and you're like, are there any more cars? No? Oh, thank God. But that was awesome to look at.
I actually have a high level of respect for the fact that it starts so high and manages to keep it up, like manages to keep you guessing, keep like, well, now how can it top it? And it does. Like it's
keeps
great, yeah.
going and going, and like literally, I think the best way is like it's the Hold My Beer movie. If you think like, oh, you think that's going to be worse? There is worse. There's more coming. There's more gore. There's more weirdness. There's more moments you have to pause and reevaluate what you've just watched.
You call that a knife?
This is a knife. In this case, it's you call that a knife? This is a bus full of burning children.
It is like that though, isn't it?
Ending with talking robots beating down a homeless man with a manhole cover on his head.
Yeah.
So that was Hobo with a Shotgun, a movie that is so batshit crazy that we now need to. I think I'm gonna need some wine, sit in a corner, and reflect about the world. So, right. So move on. Next time round, we'll have something more mad and crazy and funky for the next time round. We're hoping to keep this going. I really hope you guys like this episode, and we'll keep in tune. So to end it all, guys, keep an eye on your trash. There might be something good in there. See you guys later.
Bye.
This podcast has been an enigmatic production. It's hosted by Johann Chipol and music by Edward Harvey. If you like what you hear, subscribe to the podcast. We are on Google Play, iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and Buzzsprout. Share it, like it, write a review. For more information on our other projects, check out our website, www.enigmaticproductions.co.uk.